Okay, today we have Jarildy Javier, uh, a graduate student at Emory University. Welcome.
Thank you.
Um, First question, what year are you in your program?
I am a first year in the neuroscience program.
Great. And so this is at Emory University. Um,
Yeah.
we always like to know uh, what people's undergraduate major was, because sometimes it's not a science field, but what was your undergraduate?
So my undergraduate major was in biology, but I am a biologist who tried to be a physicist, and
Oh,
then switched. And then also my biology was a concentration in ecology and evolution. So a lot of my work in undergrad had to do with population densities of different animals in different places.
great. One thing we've been finding through these interviews is that the one thing I love about neuroscience is there's many different levels and many different areas and subfields. And so, yeah, you find all sorts of people with different scientific backgrounds contributing. So that's great to have you in the field, of course. Um, which lab are you in and what are you researching?
So right now, as a first year student, I'm doing rotations. It's a feature of a solid number of biomedical PhD programs where you kind of shop around for different labs that you want to choose, and at the end, you after about three or four, you decide what lab you wanna keep for your thesis lab. So right now, my rotation is in Dr. Larry Young's lab, where he studies, or the lab and him, we all study the social behavior of prairie voles. So we study social behavior, autism, we do circuit dynamics, as in different parts of the brain that are connected to each other that might be resulting in social behavior like empathy or consoling or pair bonding, particularly in this model that's the prairie vole. So it's a type of rodent that's very small and it kind of looks like a small hamster that's brown.
Right. And then I've seen his talks, a very interesting model. Is there a specific reason why you use this animal over others?
Yeah, so the reason why we chose the prairie vole over something like the typical lab mouse is because the prairie vole establishes these bonds called pair bonds, and so they are monogamous, as in they pair. Male and female voles will pair with each other, and instead of once they mate them, in a lot of other species, the male will leave or will stay for part of the time, but then end up leaving to go continue copulating with other animals. The male and the female actually form this bond that you can see, like physically in the brain, but also through their behavior, where they stay together, they console each other, and they kind of have this type of special relationship that is actually incredibly rare in the animal kingdom. And so it's like very, very few mammals even have this type of commitment to each other. And so, because of that, they are able to form really strong connections with others of their, specifically their mates. And we think that that's a really great model to be able to um, understand how strong relationships between people might be able to form.
Wow, that's really neat stuff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he's that's definitely one of the more famous labs for doing that. And the talks are always very entertaining, but also very informative
Hmm.
from your lab. Okay, so what is your favorite brain or neuroscience fact or something about neuroscience?
It's a good question. Um, Ooh, I have okay, so I'm gonna rely on my previous research experience. So though I'm interested in looking at social behavior now, my previous lab focused on a particular type of neuron called ganglion cell in retinal ganglion cell in the eye. And specifically, we studied this. First of all, there are neurons in your eye, which I think is awesome, because a lot of people just think of neurons as in your brain cell, but there's a lot of different neurons throughout the body. But these particular neurons, um they the thing that like blew my mind once was that these neurons, you can put them on a plate, like on a petri dish, and you can shine light under them and you can record from them. And so like as in you like basically put uh, an electrode or like a piece of metal inside of them, and they will send out electrical signals that they would normally do inside your retina, and you can see that on a computer screen. And what like it really got me when I understood is that like the cells in your eyes, they themselves can see. And so the idea that like all of your cells can see and together they're able to inform this perception of reality that you have. And if they decide that they see something different, you will then see something different. And just like they're not sentient, but it's like this idea that your eye is made up of many, many, many little eyes in the function that we think eyes have. And I think I realized that once in my lab and it just kind of blew my mind. So like, I don't know, just the like particularity of in particular your retinal ganglion cells, because
Yep.
they can see.
Yeah.
And you think of your eye as one thing, like the whole eye is a thing, not like a piece of it, but these parts are responsible for your vision.
Yeah.
And if you isolate one and you show it a pattern, it will see. And if you record their electrical signals, it will tell you that it can see and it can tell you what it's seeing,
Right.
which
And
is
a lot of
crazy.
Oh, it is. And I'm a former physiologist, and that is the person or the subfield where you do record electrical activity. And so I can speak as well. It's really exciting when you can measure this activity outside of the body, essentially, like you're saying. These cells still function this way as little mini detectors. And then your brain's job is to take all that information and actually filter it, change it the way that you need it to actually kind of go through the world. And so yeah, you're speaking it right up my alley, and I'm sure you're informing these people that are watching these videos that even cells outside of your body, like they still have a job to do and they still do it. And you can record that as a scientist. Okay, so fun facts about you. Do you have any pets?
I have my family has pets. I don't have pets right now where I live, but I have at home we have two dogs. We have a pit bull who is 7. He's a very handsome dog, but he is very dumb. Like runs into things. He's not very smart for the things that he should be smart for. And he's really good at doing things that we don't want him to learn, like learning how to somehow get out of his gate by squishing through a very small hole. We're like, why did you figure that out? My other dog is she's an old lady. She's like a smallish dog. She's kind of looks like a chihuahua, but she isn't. She was adopted from a shelter, and her name is Aviva, and she is the matron of the house. So
Yeah,
she puts my younger, bigger dog in his place on a regular basis. So she is kind of like his mom without a mom.
gotcha. Okay. Um, but they're not with you now, unfortunately. But that's
No, they're not with me, but I did just buy a plant. So I'm a plant mom. So
okay. Well, there you got to
a
start
really
somewhere.
cute plant, and it's somewhere to start for now.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, and then last fun question: who is your favorite musical artist
This is really hard. I
or
listen to a
genre?
lot of good music. At least I think it's good music. I think I can say like people that I don't know if it's my favorite artist, but there's one particular artist named Juan Luis Guerra, who is a bachatero, so he sings bachata music. Bachata is a genre that originates from the Dominican Republic. And his music is just like brings me so much joy. And they're very well orchestrated, and he's a great singer. And there's a lot of metaphor in his music, which I really enjoy. I also listen to a lot of SZA. She's
Okay,
a R&B singer, and she puts me in my feelings. And so I really like her music. It also sounds really good. And I'd say one other one is I listen to a lot of Megan Thee Stallion. So
okay, all right.
um, I listen to a lot of different types of music, but those are really good and the ones that I'm listening to right now.
Excellent. No, that's great. I will definitely check out the first one. I got to say, I'm not familiar with that, but I do know the second two artists. So can you dance to the original? What was the first artist again?
It's his name is Juan Luis Guerra, and yeah, it's a bachata is both a genre of music and also a dance. Like I said, originates in the Dominican Republic. It's in Spanish, so it's like if you don't know Spanish, you might have a hard time understanding. But he just is like I don't know. There's something about his music. I listened to it when I was growing up, and he does a lot of his like apparently his concerts are just phenomenal. He doesn't take any breaks. It's just like
Wow.
an amazing an hour and a half show back to back, and it's just his music just bachata is usually touted as like a pretty there's like a word for it in Spanish, it's like amarga, which just means bitter. It's like the music sounds really great, but then when you listen to the lyrics, it's like about like a love lost or like being forlorn in a relationship or like
Okay.
really dramatic. But the music sounds really fun and it's really fun to dance to. But his music is like also just like the lyrics can also be just very positive. And so it's like this like very this like and there's a lot of instruments. I love a good instrument, like I love a good guitar. I love cymbals. So I'm like, there's just a lot of orchestrating that goes into his music, at least I think. And so a nostalgia plus just like an appreciation for the music. And he's like a real OG. He's like one of the gems of the Dominican Republic. So I think
Cool.
a lot of people really like his music for that as well.
I will definitely check him out. That actually sounds really interesting.
Mhm.
Um, and finally, I know you have a cool T-shirt on. Can you perhaps show that to everyone?
Yeah, here's my shirt. It says know your neurons. And so there's like a Purkinje, a granule cell, there's a pyramidal cell, chandelier, and a stellate. Um, I have a couple nerdy t-shirts. I really like them. I
I
don't
think
know.
they
I
look
think
great.
some I think they're great. I love the idea of like, especially since like a lot of like I don't know. Sometimes I feel like people don't always code people as scientists because they think of a very archaic, almost cartoonish caricature of like what a scientist might be. And so like I like talking to people, I like going out, I like having fun with people. I talk like a regular human. I don't know. And then
Yeah.
so like I was like sometimes I wear shirts then like this is my neuron, this is like my know your neuron, but I have like brain shirts, I have like this is what a scientist looks like type shirt. And so I don't know, sometimes it's just like fun because then people will be like, oh, like you're a nerd. And I'm like, yeah, technically, yeah. That's like my whole job right now is to study. So I feel like there's something to be said about me really under liking learning and like
Yes.
discovery. And
Yeah.
so I think it just is fun to wear the shirt sometimes and like go out and people are like, oh, like, you know, it kind of changes their idea of what a scientist might be.
Yeah.
Um, but also, I just really like the shirt because I like neurons and I think they're pretty. So I'm
I
like,
mean, you're preaching to the choir over here. No problems with that at all. Yeah. So yeah, and also of course be genuine, be who you are, and be
yeah,
proud of it. So all right. Well, thank you very much. Jarildy was a instructor earlier today at the Brain Bee workshop, right? And so that is kind of a program that we run to help prep students for the Brain Bee. And so that we'll also be offering that next year for next year's Brain Bee if you've missed it this year. And actually, there's one I think coming up in a week. If this gets released before then, you're also welcome to register for that. So I'd like to thank you for being an instructor with that. You did a great job today. And also, I'd like to thank you for your time right now for this little mini interview. And this has been Meet a Neuroscientist for the Atlanta Brain Bee.
thank you.